Welcome to another tutorial by Looming. Today's tutorial is going to be on my Woven Dreams bracelet. This is one that was made with the opaque bands from rainbowloom.com, the pink camo bands. This is what it looks like on this side. And this is what it looks like on the other side. And then this is one that was made with the solid gold bands from rainbowloom.com, the Persian Ocean bands, the Egyptian baby pink bands, the Egyptian yellow bands, and in the middle is the teal and olive green bands. And these were all from rainbowloom.com as well. And that's what it looks like on this side. And that's what it looks like on the other side. Now this is an 8-pin bar design. You will need at least 8 pin bars. I'm going to be using 16. You will also need your hook and your C-clip. Again, you will need at least 8 pin bars. I am using 16. I did need to use the full length to get a full wrap. It does take 5 whole rainbow looms plus 1 extra pin bar to do the full 16 pin bars. Colors I'm using today are rainbowloom.com's deep purple, purple, pastel pink, hot pink, bright purple, and the glow electric purple. So to get started, you will have to have your loom set up in this configuration with the 2 middle pin bars aligned, and then the others will go down in a diagonal fashion like so. And you will start by laying a basic border, except there will be no bands laid across these 2 pins in the center. They will start like so, going out to this side, and going out to this side, but you do not connect the 2 in the center. And then you'll just go up the sides like we do normally. Whoops. I'm going to go up the right side first. Scoop my bands so that I can work around here. Been trying to get this tutorial filmed, and I've been having some issues. I tried to film it last night and I got part way through it and I realized that I skipped a step. So this has been a challenge. Life happens, I guess. Of course, this was at like 11 o'clock at night last night, so I was kind of tired and I screwed it up. Now, when you get down to here, you're going to go in like you normally do. But just like at the beginning, how we left those two in the middle unconnected, you're going to do the same here. You're not going to connect these two pins. You're going to leave those unconnected like we did at the beginning. We're going to go back to the beginning and start doing the left side. You're just going to go up the left side like we did on the right. This was the first time that I designed a bracelet that was this large, so I was kind of worried how it was going to come out. I wasn't sure if I was going to do a tutorial for this because I'm pretty sure this video is going to be quite extensive and pretty long. But when I posted the picture of the bracelet on the Facebook pages, group pages, I had so many requests for the pattern and to do a tutorial. I decided to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to keep going up the side. Pretty much like a basic border, just the beginning and the ending just a little different. The bracelet's really not all that difficult. To be honest. Again, we're not connecting these last two bars with a band. We're just going to leave it open. And I'll show you what to do with those later. We're going to go back to the beginning. Now our next step, we're going to kind of work our way from the outside to the middle. So our next step, we're going to start here on the left side. Our next step, we're going to lay our bands in a kind of like a triangle pattern, working with these two rows of pin bars. And for that, I think we're going to use this bright purple that I have here. I'm going to lay a band from here to here straight forward. And then from here to here straight forward. And then we're going to start laying our bands in a triangle fashion. You're going to lay your band straight forward first. And then your diagonal bands. And you're just going to do this the whole way up your loom. Actually, you know what? I missed a band. Let me go back. Like I said, this has been a challenge trying to film this tutorial. And once again, I missed a band, so let me go back. Should have laid a diagonal one from there to there. band forward. And then triangle bands. So we want to fill in that gap. Okay. I think in my other bracelets I left that gap open, but why not fill it in if we can fill it in? So just going to go ahead and fill it in. We're just going to lay these triangle bands, and you want to make sure you push your bands down, because when there's not a lot of layers as far as laying bands one on top of the other, but when it comes to the looping process, I missed laying the forward band. When it comes to the looping process, it's going to make it easier on you to loop if you have your bands pushed down. So and that band went down underneath the other one. There we go. We're just laying these triangle bands the whole way up the loom on the sides. Gonna do the same on the other side. That we're doing on this side. Hope y'all are staying warm today. I don't know about y'all, but here in South Carolina, it is like 40 degrees right now. It was 27 when I got up this morning. So it is a hot chocolate kind of day. Again, just laying those triangle bands the whole way up through. That one laid kind of funky. Sorry if you hear any background noise. My husband and my son are outside doing some work. So you may hear the drill and the saw and whatnot. Oops, lost that band. If I can get my fingers working properly, maybe I can see if I can get it with my hook. This band wants to be a booger. There we go. And then when we get to the end, we're going to lay a diagonal band here to fill in that gap. And then we're going to lay one forward. Actually, no, we're not going to lay one forward here, because when we lay our next layer, we'll be laying one. Let me think here. No, yeah, we will be laying one forward. We'll lay one forward. Had to think of what row was next. Okay, we're going to lay one forward there. I'll fill in those gaps right there at the end. And this is what your loom will look like so far. And we're going to do the same thing on the right hand side. Going to lay one forward and one diagonal to fill in that little gap there. And then we're going to lay those triangle bands the whole way up this side. Always laying your forward band first and then your diagonals. This color always reminds me of red beet eggs. If y'all have ever had red beet eggs, that's what this color reminds me of. Some people call them pickled eggs. Alright. Y'all have to let me know if this new setup that I'm trying is working. I just got some new equipment yesterday. As far as lighting and holding my phone to film these videos. You have to let me know if you like the new setup or if you prefer the old way that I was doing it better. Trying to make the angles for the camera better and the view for y'all better. I had some messages that said that they couldn't see very well what I was doing, so I'm always striving to do better on my videos. So if there's anything that you think that I can do better, please feel free to leave a comment or message me. But please be respectful with your comments. I had someone comment on one of my videos about my dog that was kind of whining in the video. That couldn't be helped. I just had a dog that gave birth to 8 puppies, and we were weaning her off, the puppies off of her, and she was having a tough time, and that was why she was whining. And so that could not be helped, and the person that left the comment was very rude and was cussing and everything else. There was no need for that. I live on a farm, so when I do my videos, there's life happens. There's going to be background noise sometimes, and it can't be helped all the time. So like right now, I have 8 puppies in my house that are, I'm sure, going to eventually be whining and fussing because I have them kind of barricaded off right now from here while I do this video. And they are not liking it. Right now I think they're sleeping, but they're not liking that they're cooped up at the moment because they're puppies and they want to run. So there may be some noise from them later. But life happens. It can't always be helped. And I have chickens and turkeys and ducks, and I have larger dogs, and a cat. So sometimes life is chaotic and you may hear noises from time to time on my videos, and I apologize for that. But it can't always be helped. Anyway, we're coming down to the end on this side. Laying our triangle bands. That one wanted to lay kind of funky. And again, we're going to fill in this little gap here at the end. So we're going to lay our band forward. And lay our diagonal. And this is what your loom should look like so far. We've got our border and we've got our triangle bands laid. Alright, our next step is that we are going to lay some bands on these next two sets of pegs on these sides, on the left and the right. We're going to start on our left side here. Sorry about that, my throat was getting kind of dry. And we're going to lay some kind of X-shaped bands on this row. And for that, we are going to use, I think we're going to use our pastel pink. And you're going to lay a band diagonal from this peg to this peg. And then you're going to lay a longer stretched band from this peg to this peg. So it's kind of in the shape of an X. And you're going to do this the whole way up your loom. Pushing your bands down as you go. Trying to keep them as untwisted as possible. And this one twisted up pretty bad, so I'm going to relay it. There we go. And it's going to be the same on the other side. It's just going to be kind of in the opposite direction. Like I said, we work our way into the middle. Don't know how some of these other colored bands creep into. I try to keep my colors separated as best I can, and sometimes I have one of another color that creeps in. Don't know how that happens, but it does. And just laying these X bands the whole way up our loom. like so. And that one slid down under. There we go. Oops. That one down in between. Again, just laying these X bands the whole way up our left side. Oops, that one slipped off. And it's gonna give me a hard time. I'll just do it that way. Alright. And then here at the end, we're not going to worry about this because when we lay our next layer, we're going to fill that in. So we're just going to leave it open. And this is what your loom should look like so far. Now we're going to go over to our right side and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lay our short band. This is going to be in the opposite direction. And then we're going to lay our long band. Always lay your short one first. And we're just going to do this the whole way up the side of the loom. I'm hearing the puppies whining already, so they're probably going to start fussing, just to warn y'all. Like I said, life happens. They're not liking being cooped up while I do this video because, of course, they're puppies. They got all that energy and they want to run. Okay. And again, we're at the end on this side, so we're going to leave this one here open and fill it in when we do our next row here. And this is what your loom should look like so far. Now we're going to do our next layer, or our next row, which will involve these two sets, or these two rows of pins. And for that, I think we will use our regular purple. And this row is going to be kind of like a catty-corner square. That's kind of what I look at it as. Or I guess it would be kind of like a diagonal diamond, I guess you would say. So you're going to lay one straight forward like so. And then you're going to lay another one straight forward. And you're going to lay one diagonal, one straight forward, and then another diagonal like so. And then it's going to be one straight forward, one straight forward, one diagonal. And you're going to do this the whole way up your loom. One straight forward, one straight forward, one diagonal. One straight forward, one straight forward, one diagonal. One straight forward, one straight forward, and one diagonal. And this is going to be the same on the other side as well. One straight forward, one straight forward, and one diagonal. And I'm trying to push my bands down as I go. To try to make it easier on myself at the end. We're almost done with the laying of the bands. And just laying those bands the whole way down the loom here. These, I call them squares, but whoops. Straight forward, straight forward, and then a diagonal, straight forward, and a diagonal, straight forward, straight forward, diagonal, straight forward, straight forward, and a diagonal, and then a straight forward here, and see where I told you we'd fill in that gap right there. Straight forward, diagonal, and then here at the end, you're just going to lay one straight forward, like so. And that's what your loom should look like so far. And then we're just going to do the same thing on this side. Going to lay one forward, and then a diagonal, and a straight forward, and a straight forward, and another diagonal. And you're just going to do the same thing the whole way up this side of the loom. Straight forward, diagonal. Straight forward, diagonal. And it's just repeating the same process the whole way up the loom. It's just in an opposite direction. Forward, diagonal. Forward, diagonal. And there's a broken bend. Let's get rid of that. Forward, diagonal, 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 and we're almost to the end. Forward, diagonal, forward, diagonal, forward, diagonal, and then we're just going to lay a band forward on this one. And this is what your loom should look like so far. And then we have our final layer, our final rows, which go down the middle on these 2 bar pins. And for that, I'm going to alternate hot pink and the glow electric purple. And all we're going to do is lay X's the whole way down the center. And I'm just going to alternate colors down the center, like so. Just make sure you lay your X's. It doesn't matter which you lay first, the left or the right. Just make sure when you lay them, you always lay them in the same direction. Whichever band you lay first, make sure you lay that band first the whole way down. Because it's going to make a difference when you loop them. Because you're always going to want to loop the same one first. So, I laid from left to right, so first, so that's the one I need to lay first all the time, the whole way down through, left to right. Oops. That one went flying on me. I hate when I have bands that are like rolled up. For some reason they get rolled up and they want to stay rolled up and you have to fight with them to unroll them. I don't know if you guys have that problem, but I have some that are kind of like that. Again, just laying X's the whole way down the middle. Making sure whichever one that you laid first, you're always laying that one first. So it's going to make a difference when you go to loop them on which one you loop first. So you always got to loop the same one first. Oops. That wasn't right. Almost messed that one up. So I want to make sure I always lay the same one first. And I'm down to the end. So this is what your loom should look like, fully laid out with the bands. And our next step will be the looping process. To start the looping process, you'll need to lay a double cap band on the center 2 pegs here. So whatever color you ended with on this X is the color you'll want to use to lay your double cap band. And then whatever band you laid last on your X is the one you want to loop first, because you're going to want them to cross over one another in the X pattern. And you're going to loop them over one another in an X. And my band is trying to get away from me. Like so. And you're just going to continue to loop those X bands the whole way down your loom. And you're looping the same one first the whole time. Their bands, we laid them from the outside to the middle, and now we're looping them from the middle to the outside. And so this one, apparently I laid in the wrong way. And so now I've got to loop it backwards. Apparently I had an X that I laid in the opposite direction of what it should have been in, so I had to loop it in the opposite direction of what it should have been. So not a disaster, but not the way that it should have been. So hopefully you guys are able to see. Again, you want those bands to cross one another in an X as you loop them. You don't want them to go back on each other or on themselves perfectly. You want them to actually X or cross one another. The way I'm filming this tutorial, I'm kind of having to sit to the side and move this around and finagle things a little bit, so bear with me, please. I'm trying to make sure you guys have a good view and a good angle of everything. Again, just looping those X's the whole way up the center. And we're on our last X. And you'll notice that these last two pegs are still not connected, and they will stay unconnected until the very end when we close it up. It's okay, don't worry about it or fret over it. It'll be alright, I promise. And this is what your loom should look like so far. Now, our next two rows we're going to loop are these two. We're going to start on the left, over here. And we're going to start by looping this forward band here, forward. Then we're going to loop this diagonal band over onto itself. And then we're going to loop these two forward bands forward. Then we're going to go in here and loop this diagonal band over onto itself. Then we're going to loop these two bands here forward, like so. Then we're going to loop that diagonal band over onto itself. And then we're going to loop, make sure I got the right band, because I don't believe that I do. You may have to dig in there to find it. And loop those forward bands forward, like so. Then you're going to loop the diagonal band. And then you're going to loop the forward bands. You're going to loop the forward bands. Then you're going to loop the diagonal band. Because once you loop those forward bands, that's what's going to lock those diagonal bands in place. And then we're going to loop the diagonal band. And then we're going to loop the forward bands. And then we're going to loop that diagonal band. Loop the forward band. And loop the diagonal band. Loop the forward bands. And loop the diagonal band. Loop the forward bands. And loop the diagonal band. And loop the forward bands. loop the diagonal bands, and loop the forward bands. Loop the diagonal band, and loop the forward band. And there goes the puppies. I promised you would hear them. And we're just doing this the whole way down our loom. Looping the 2 forward bands and then the diagonal band. And you're just going to do the same thing on both sides. So if you feel like you know what you're doing and you want to fast forward to the next step, you can. It's basically the same thing on the opposite side. Or if you feel like you're lost, you can rewind. Rewind or fast forward at your own, work at your own pace, of course. And we're almost to the end on this side. I hear the puppies over there. And diagonal. And then this one forward, and I see I should have laid one forward over here, but that's okay, we're gonna fix it. Just gonna lay that here. And then I'm gonna go in underneath these purple ones. Here. And pull that band through, like so. Pull it out, bring it up, and attach it here, like so. And that will fix that. So I apologize for that error. So did you see how I do that? Just lay a band on here, reach down in underneath these purple ones on this peg here, and just pull that band through there, and that will fix that. And we will have to do the same thing on this side. Actually, we can fix that right now. You're just going to lay a band here on this peg, and you're going to lift up this band and this band and hold on to them, and you're just going to lay that band from here to here, and then you're going to replace that forward band and that diagonal band like so, and that just fixes that quickly. All fixed up. Okay, now we're going to, sorry about that we missed that band at the end there. Okay, so now we're going to do this side. And it's basically the same thing. That we did on the other side. We're taking this band forward, this diagonal band back onto itself, like so. Taking this band forward, this band forward, and this diagonal one back onto itself. And then this band forward, and this band forward, and then this band back onto itself. So, it's the same thing that we did on the other side. Forward bands forward first. And then the diagonal one back over onto itself, like so. Forward bands forward, and then the diagonal band over onto itself. And you're just going to do the same thing the whole way up the loom. Make sure that I got the right band. It didn't seem like I had the right band. Sorry about the puppies, guys. Doesn't seem like I'm catching the right band. There we go. Now I got the right one for sure. Okay, there we go. Was not happy with the way that was working. Okay. Diagonal band. And it's just the same thing the whole way up the loom. This is a difficult task sometimes when you have neuropathy and fibromyalgia. When you have neuropathy, your hands tend to get numb and tingly. Fibromyalgia makes them ache, so right now they're tingling and going numb on me. But I will tell you, looming is such a great stress relief. At least it is for me, anyhow. I don't know about you guys, but I find it a great stress relief. And we're just continuing up the loom, doing your forward bands first, and then your diagonals. Again, those forward bands are what locks your diagonal bands in place. Grab the wrong band again. If you grab the wrong band, just put it back in and run your hook around in a circular motion. It'll drop back in place on its own. There, we got the right one. Apologize about the length of the video. Forward bands first, and then our diagonal. Okay. pushing on my loom to make sure it's staying together, because it's making me nervous that it's not going to stay together. That doesn't seem like it's the right band, so let me try that again and make sure I get the right one. There we go, that's the right one. Okay. Oh no. That band popped off when I put the other one on there. Let's make sure we got them in the right order. There we go. Okay. That's why I said it's important to push your bands down, because they will pop off or you'll lose them, and then there's a mess to try to figure out. Okay. And we're almost to the end here of this row. My hands are really getting numb, so it's getting difficult for me. Okay. Now we're going forward here and forward here. Okay. And that's what your loom should look like so far. Okay, our next step is to loom these 2 rows of our X bands. And what you're going to do is reach in here and grab this band and pull it back onto itself. Then you're going to reach in here and grab this long band and pull it back onto itself in an X pattern. And you're just going to continue to do this the whole way up your loom. You're going to do the short one first and then the long one. And I should have mentioned this probably at the beginning of the video. I apologize. This bracelet, you probably, especially for this step, you want to make sure you use bands that are kind of elasticy, because that's quite a stretch to stretch it back. If you use something that doesn't have a lot of elasticity, you're going to have a problem probably. The opaque bands work great for this, and I use the Persian and the Egyptian bands. Seem to be okay with this. I would imagine the limited edition bands probably not so much, because they don't have too much of a stretch to them. You might have a problem using those kind of bands. And we're just taking those X bands back onto themselves. Reaching down inside those bands and grabbing your X bands and just crossing them back over onto themselves. The short one first and then the long one. And you want to make sure you go down into the peg to do that, to grab that long one and to grab the short one, because that's what interlocks your bands together. You don't want to go out here on the outside to grab it. You want to go in here inside the pegs to grab your bands, so that you're sure to interlock your bands together. And you're just doing that the whole way up the loom. Like I said, you want to use bands that are quite elastic, especially for this step, because it is quite a stretch, especially for those long bands. And that's what it should look like so far on that side. Now we're just going to move over here to the right side and do the same thing. Looping the short band first, and then going in, grabbing that long one, and bringing it down. The loom is trying to bow, so I'm trying to keep it together. Okay. Grabbing that short one and then that long one. And you're just doing the same thing the whole way up the loom. Looping that short one and then that long one. And just looping those X bands the whole way up your loom. Making sure you get inside that pin to grab those bands so that your other bands are interlocked. And we're down to our last X. There we go. Gonna kind of push those down. And this is what it looks like so far on your loom. And then we're down to our final, well, second to the last step. And we're going to loom these triangle bands on both sides. And the first thing we're going to do is loop that band forward. Then we're going to loop that triangle band, or that diagonal band forward. And then we're going to loop that next diagonal band forward. And then we're going to loop that next band forward. And the next band underneath it is diagonal. We're going to loop that one diagonal. Then we're going to loop that next band underneath it, diagonal. And the next band underneath that is forward. And the band underneath that is diagonal. The band underneath that is a diagonal. And the band underneath that is forward. So you're basically just looping the bands in order that they lay back onto themselves. So the band under that is a diagonal. The next band under that in order is a diagonal. And then the next band under that is forward. You're just looping them back onto themselves in the order in which they lay. Diagonal. Diagonal. Forward. Diagonal. Diagonal. And forward. Diagonal. Diagonal. And forward. If you get bands that are kind of tight, not wanting to kind of go over properly, just put your hook in there in the pin and go around it, and it'll kind of ease up the tension and let them freely flow over to where they belong and ease up that tension a little bit. These bright purple ones over here that I laid are not rainbow loom bands, unfortunately. They are, I believe, Wonder Loom bands that I got from Walmart. I just used them because I wanted to use another shade of purple or pink, and it's what I had on hand, so they are not one of my favorite kinds of bands to use, but it went with my color scheme, so that's why I used them. As you can see, they are a thinner, less quality type of band. But I do have them and I do use them. I use them usually when I'm just designing a bracelet and I don't want to use my good bands or waste my good bands in case a design doesn't work out or whatever. That's usually when I use those kind of bands. But like I said, I went with my color scheme, so or if I have no other bands and that's all I've got, that's what I use. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you can't get your hands on rainbow loom bands and you have to use what you have to use, so. For the longest time, I couldn't get rainbow loom bands, and these are what I used. I used the Wonder Loom bands. So, serves a purpose. Again, you're just looping those bands looping those bands back onto themselves in the order in which they lay. If you laid them the way that I laid them, the diagonal ones are first and then the forward one. Just gotta watch you don't snag other bands right along with them like I just did almost. Actually, this purple here and this hot pink in the center are both Wonder Loom bands. I used them because those were colors I needed, like I said, for the color scheme that I was going for, so served the purpose. My hook is snagged. Okay, there we go. Coming into the home stretch here soon, guys. Again, I apologize for the length of the video. Again, this This one wants to give me a hard time. This tutorial in general has just been giving me issues. Like I said, when I first went to film it, I had a problem with, not sure that I grabbed the right band here. Hold on. Missed an entire step and had problems. So, okay. Fix that now. Again, I picked up the wrong band on the last one, so I had to fix that issue and got it fixed. Now we're just finishing these triangle bands here on this side. Got a hook snagged again. There we go. Oh, there we go. And sometimes it's hard to get up under these bands. But this one wants to be difficult. There we go. Sometimes you gotta help it along a little bit. Alright, coming up to the end here on this side. And it's going to be a difficult one. I can see it already. There we go. Alright. Merciful heavens. It's being a blister. There we go. Alright. And that's what that side looks like. And that's what it should look like so far. Okay, y'all, now we're going to do the same thing on the right side. We're going to loop this band forward. And then we're just going to start looping these bands back onto themselves in the order in which they're laid. And it's going to be the diagonal ones first, and then this forward one. If I can get one at a time, I keep wanting to grab both of them. Sometimes it's hard to get under those bands. Now I've got my hook stuck. Merciful heavens. There we go. And we're coming into the home stretch with this bracelet. After this, we just gotta loop the border and close it up. Oh, and I just had a band break, so tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to fix this. I'm gonna pause this video for a moment and try to fix this bracelet, and I'll be back. Alright, y'all, I fixed that broken band. Sorry about that. I fixed that broken band. Now we're back to where we need to be. Hopefully I fixed it properly. Hoping, I'm crossing my fingers and hoping and praying. I think I grabbed the wrong one to loop first. Let me put that back. Hoping and praying, hoping and praying, hoping and praying I grabbed it. Did it the proper way. So we shall see when we take this bracelet off if I did it properly. I'm praying that I did. Because if I did not, it's going to fall apart, and I do not want that to happen. So we shall see. And this one band here does not want to cooperate with me, so there we go. Got it. There we go. Okay, now we're cooking again. Let me tell you, this tutorial has been such a struggle. I've had so many problems with trying to get it done and getting one done for it that it's worth it though. It really is. Just trying to get up under these bands to make sure that I get the proper thing here. And I keep wanting to try to grab more than just the band that I should be grabbing. I keep trying to grab one too many. There we go. Sorry about the background noise, y'all. My dogs are out right now. They get chained out to go potty, so you're going to hear them barking. Alright, now we're cooking again, y'all. Hopefully I don't have any more bands snap. Oh. And these want to come off. Luckily my hook's still in them. Like I said, the whole reason I said to make sure that you push your bands down. That's the reason why. Because when it comes to the hooking process, there are so many to go through that they will pop off. Or they will try to, at least anyway. There goes the puppies again. I'm sorry, y'all. They will just be as pleased as punch when I decide to let them out of there and let them run a little bit and get rid of some of that energy. They are 7 weeks old today, actually. So they are just pint-sized and full of energy. They are actually, we don't know what breed they are because their mama and daddy, we rescued their mama and daddy. And their mama and daddy are some kind of, we were told, pit bull lab mutt kind of mix. And so they are some kind of mutt mix, but we are going to be trying to find homes for them because we have so many dogs now that we can't keep them all. She got pregnant totally by accident. The male got off of his, or out of his pen by accident, and got her pregnant, and so we had an accidental litter of puppies, and so now we have to try to find puppies' homes because we have 6 dogs already, and we can't afford or do not have the means to keep with all the other animals to keep all the puppies. So we are going to try to find the puppies good homes. But being that they are some kind of, or we're told, are some kind of pit bull mix, we want to make sure they go to good homes where they're not going to be used for some kind of fighting purposes or bait dogs or something like that. We want to make sure they go to good loving homes. And we waited so long to decide to try to get rid of them because we wanted to make sure that whoever took them would be capable of taking care of them properly, and they were old enough to be taken care of properly. So we're just doing these triangle bands the whole way up this right side of our loom. Trying to be gentle with these bands because I had one break already, and I'm trying not to snap anymore because these are, like I said, not rainbow loom bands. This particular band right here, this color, I'm trying not to have any more snap. I have a lot of problems with these breaking. Although I did use oil on these, I'm still having a problem with them breaking, so the oil's not helping them a whole lot though. And I just had that band come loose, so I am going to, there we go. Again, I apologize. I'm having many issues with this tutorial and these. Don't know about this particular tutorial. Giving me so many problems. But I'm doing my best. That's all I can do. Alright, now where did that band go? Alright, we're coming into the home stretch on this side. We're going to cross our fingers but don't break any more bands. It's going to be even more of a trick when I go to take it off and hope I don't snap any more that way. Shouldn't, I hope, because I take it off usually. Well, I do take it off very gently, but that's not saying that there can't be snags and what have you going on. And I don't know why that one grabbed first, but okay. Guess it didn't much matter. Alright, and we're on the last part of our triangle bands that we laid. And that diagonal band. And our next diagonal band, and then there's one forward. And that's it for this side. And this is what your loom should look like so far. Now all that's left for us to loom is the border. And you just loom it like you do any other border. And you just loom them onto themselves. Out to the sides. Making sure you go through all the bands. Going the whole way up the side again. Just making sure you get through all those bands that are on that pig. Grabbing that bottom band. And then of course you're going up the sides. Then you're going to come back to the beginning and do the same on the other side. And just make sure that you got down into those bands. To grab your border band. I'm just going to keep looping your border. The whole way up. Okay, now, what you're going to do here at the beginning, to close it up, I double band. You can use one if you want, but I take 2 bands. And I go down in this pig, the whole way through those bands, and pull up one side of those double bands. Slide it down my hook a little bit, like so. And then I go down in to this other side, through all those bands, and slide on the other side of those double bands, and pull them up. And then I take my C-hook, my C-clamp, and I put one side through one side of the C-clamp, and then I put the other side through the other side of the C-clamp, or the C-clip, excuse me, like so. And then I take my hook out. And then I've got my bracelet secured. And then I'm ready to take my bracelet off. And I just simply start with the back side of my hook, and I start taking it off peg by peg with the back side of my hook. I start gently popping it off the hooks. And trust me, you want to be gentle with this bracelet. And I just go down row by row, gently popping it off pegs, one by one, row by row. Like so. And again, I use the back of my hook to do this. And this was, so far, I'm hoping I fixed that band that broke properly. I'm hoping it stays together. I'm praying I fixed it the proper way. So far, so good. And you can release that cap band that you had on there. You don't want to rush to take this off because you got a lot stretched across this loom. And if you try to pull it off too quickly, you may snap bands or what have you, and you don't want that to happen. Gently help it off with your back of your hook. Now we're to the middle of your bracelet where your C-clip is. Now these last couple rows, I'm just gonna pop them off together. And it looks like I fixed it properly. And this is what it looks like. This is my Woven Dreams bracelet. That's one side, and that's the other side. Thank you for joining me for this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed making this bracelet with me. If you liked this bracelet or if you like the tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to my channel, and you can follow me on Instagram at looming2020. And until next time, stay warm and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.